My name is Dorothy. I'm 86 years old. I'm recording this because I don't know how much time I have left to say it out loud. Not to anyone in particular, just out loud. There's something I've been carrying for 37 years, and I let it sit there. I let someone believe a lie, not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I thought silence was kinder. I was wrong. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knew your business before you did. My mother was a seamstress. My father worked at the mill. We didn't have much, but we had enough. I married young, 22. His name was Vincent. He was kind, steady, the kind of man who fixed things without being asked. We had one daughter, Rebecca. Rebecca was born in 1962. She had my mother's eyes and Vincent's stubbornness. She was bright. Too bright for a town like ours, I used to say. She wanted to be a writer. She filled notebooks with stories about places she'd never been. When she was 19, she told us she was moving to New York. Vincent didn't say much. He just nodded and went out to the garage. I didn't say much either, but I should have. Rebecca left in the fall of 1981. She called every Sunday for the first few months, then every other week, then once a month, then less. I told myself it was normal. She was building a life. She was busy. But I knew she was pulling away, and I knew why. There was a fight the night before she left. She was packing her things in the bedroom. I was standing in the doorway. I don't even remember what started it. Maybe I said something about New York being dangerous. Maybe I said something about her father working hard so she could go to college, not run off to some city full of strangers. She turned around and looked at me, really looked at me, and she said, "You don't think I can do this, do you?" I didn't answer right away. She said it again, quieter. "You don't believe in me." And I said nothing. I stood there, I looked at her, and I said nothing. She zipped up her suitcase. She didn't cry, she just nodded, like she'd been waiting for that silence her whole life. The next morning, Vincent drove her to the bus station. I stayed home. I told myself I had laundry to do. She called that first Sunday. I answered. We talked about the weather, about her apartment, about whether she'd found a grocery store nearby. She didn't ask me why I didn't come to say goodbye, and I didn't bring it up. The calls kept coming, but they were different, careful, like we were strangers, being polite. I wanted to say something. I wanted to tell her I was proud, that I believed in her, that I was just scared. But I didn't. I thought there would be time. In 1985, she published her first short story. It was in a small magazine. She sent me a copy in the mail. I read it 3 times. It was beautiful. It was about a girl who leaves home and never looks back. I wanted to call her. I picked up the phone twice. I put it down both times. I sent her a card instead. It said, "Congratulations. Love, Mom." She called a week later to thank me. Her voice was bright but distant. I could have said it then. I didn't. In 1987, she told me she was seeing someone, a man named Daniel. She said he was a teacher. She said he made her laugh. I said, "That's nice, sweetheart."
She paused like she was waiting for me to ask more. I didn't. In 1988, she told me they were engaged. I said, "Congratulations." She said, "You'll come to the wedding, won't you?" I said, "Of course." But I didn't ask when, I didn't ask where, I didn't ask if she was happy. She sent me an invitation. It was in Brooklyn, a small ceremony, just family and close friends. Vincent and I drove up. We sat in the third row. We smiled. We shook hands. We left right after the cake. Rebecca hugged me before we got in the car. She held on a little longer than usual. She said, "I'm glad you came." I said, "We wouldn't have missed it." She pulled back. She looked at me, and I saw it again, that same look from the night before she left, waiting. And I said nothing.
The years went by. She had 2 children, a boy and a girl. She sent pictures every Christmas. They were beautiful. Her son had her smile. Her daughter had Vincent's eyes. We talked on the phone every few months, always the same, surface things, weather, holidays, the kids' school, never anything deeper. I told myself it was fine. That's just how it is when your children grow up. They have their own lives. But I knew she was still waiting. Vincent passed away in 1995. Heart attack. Quick. He didn't suffer. Rebecca came home for the funeral. She stayed for 3 days. She helped me sort through his things. She made me tea. She sat with me in the living room while I cried. On the last night, we were sitting at the kitchen table. It was late. The house was quiet. She said, "Mom, do you ever think about that night before I left?" I looked down at my hands. She said, I always wondered if you were disappointed in me, if you thought I was making a mistake." And I could have said it then. I could have told her the truth, that I was never disappointed, that I was terrified, that I didn't know how to let her go, that I thought if I said I believed in her, I'd have to admit how much I'd miss her, and I didn't know how to carry that. I could have said it, but I didn't. I said, "You were always so independent, Rebecca. You didn't need me to tell you what to do." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She said, "Yeah, I guess not." She left the next morning. After that, the calls became even less frequent, once every few months, then a couple times a year. Always brief, always polite. I told myself she was busy. She had a family, a career, a life. But I knew she thought I didn't care. In 2003, she published her first novel. It was a bestseller. I saw it in the bookstore window. I bought a copy. I read it in 2 days. It was about a mother and daughter. They didn't understand each other. They loved each other, but they couldn't say it. And by the time they tried, it was too late. I cried when I finished it. I wanted to call her. I wanted to tell her I understood, that I saw myself in those pages, that I was sorry. But I didn't. I was afraid that if I brought it up, it would make it worse, afraid that she'd confirm what I already knew, that I'd failed her. The last time I saw her was in 2011. She came to visit for my 80th birthday. Her kids were teenagers by then. They were polite, quiet. They didn't know me. Rebecca and I sat on the porch. We drank iced tea. We talked about her book tour, about her daughter applying to colleges. And then she said, "Mom, can I ask you something?" I said, "Of course." She said, Did you ever believe I could do it, become a writer?" And I froze. I looked at her.
I saw the 19-year-old girl standing in her bedroom with a suitcase. I saw the woman she'd become, strong, successful, beautiful. And I saw that she was still waiting. After 30 years, still waiting. I opened my mouth. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say, I always believed in you. I was just afraid. I didn't know how to say it. But what came out was, I knew you'd figure it out. You always did. She smiled, small, sad. She said, yeah. She left the next morning. That was 13 years ago. We still talk, maybe twice a year, birthdays, holidays, but it's different now. She's given up waiting, and I let her. I think about that night a lot, the one before she left. I think about all the moments after, all the times I could have said it. I thought I was protecting her. I thought if I stayed quiet, if I didn't make it about me, she'd be free to live her life without guilt, without feeling like she owed me anything. But that's not what happened. What happened is she thought I didn't care. She thought my silence meant disappointment, and I let her believe that for 37 years.
I'm not recording this because I want forgiveness. I don't think I deserve it. I'm recording this because I need to say it out loud. I was proud of her every single day. I believed in her. I just didn't know how to say it. I was afraid that if I told her how much I loved her, how much I admired her, how terrified I was of losing her, it would make it harder for her to leave. So I stayed quiet, and she left thinking I didn't care. There's a part of me that wants to call her, right now, today, but I don't know if it would help. I don't know if after all this time it would just sound like an excuse. Maybe she's made peace with it. Maybe she doesn't need to hear it anymore. Or maybe she's still waiting. I don't know. I think about the novel she wrote, The Mother and Daughter Who Couldn't Say It in Time. I wonder if that was her way of telling me. I wonder if she knew that I loved her, that I was proud, that I was just afraid. I hope she did, but I'm not sure. I've learned something. Too late, but I've learned it. Silence isn't kindness. It's not protection. It's just silence. And the people we love, they don't need us to be perfect. They don't need us to have all the answers. They just need to know that we see them, that we believe in them, that we're proud, even when we're scared, especially when we're scared. I don't know if Rebecca will ever hear this. Maybe she will, maybe she won't, but I needed to say it. Rebecca, if you're listening, I believed in you from the very first story you wrote in that notebook. I was proud of you every single day. I just didn't know how to say it, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm 86 years old. I don't know how much time I have left, but I know this. If you have something to say to someone, say it. Don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait until it's easier. Just say it, because one day it'll be too late, and silence is the only thing you can't take back. If you've stayed with me this long, thank you. Maybe you have someone in your life, someone you've been quiet with. Maybe you'll think about them after this. I hope you do. I hope you say it before it's too late.